Inside the house, Jane narrowed her eyes. Regardless of the examination's outcome, the Foster family would lose. Helena Larson must have definite evidence that the Foster family daughter was no longer a virgin, and was now using it to cause trouble. That if Jane, her sister's substitute, was found to be a virgin, it might help stop Helena's plot. However, it would definitely arouse her suspicion. Once it was discovered that Jane was a substitute and not Wendy, she would be convicted for deceiving the king. That would bring disaster to the Foster family. Jane looked ahead. She calmly applied makeup to her face using the hand that was used to holding a spear. Her master had taught her the art of war and the ways of government. Her master's wife had taught her a woman's role in the family, including necessary household skills. Although she had learned it all, she had never thought these skills would come in handy. She had aspirations and didn't want to be trapped in a house as an obedient housewife. Unexpectedly, fate had taken a turn against her wishes. Outside the house, Roy the chamberlain led several court ladies as they marched aggressively forward. "Madam Foster, this is Lady Helena's order. How dare you disobey?" he challenged Gloria. Gloria stood in front of the door and refused to budge. "Even if this is Lady Helena's instruction, you cannot do something like this so rashly. What do you take my daughter for?" she yelled. Roy raised an eyebrow. There was a look of mockery in his eyes. Did this family really think they were all that powerful? Even if they were, they would be nothing once their reputation was taken away. "Madam Foster, do you seek to be punished? In that case, don't blame me for what happens next." Roy exclaimed with a sinister expression that he waved his arm and gave a command to the royal guards behind him. Gloria was stunned. They were in Foster Mansion. These people were crossing the line. Just as Gloria was about to be detained by the royal guards, a gentle voice came from inside the house. "My family has produced a total of 13 queens. All of them have virtuous reputations. Someone decided to doubt my innocence today. I'm sure there has to be a solid reason for this. Otherwise, why am I receiving such doubt? Since it's my mistake, I don't want my entire family to be affected. The only way to resolve this is through my death. Mom, please prepare a shroud for me. After I die, they can examine my body all they want. It will be made known that I'm innocent. The Foster family's reputation will not be affected." Gloria turned pale and screamed, "You can't do that." Roy, who had been arrogant before, began to hesitate. He waved his hand and signaled for the royal guards to stop moving. He stepped forward and pretended to speak respectfully to everyone in the house. "Ms. Foster, things don't have to go that far. If you truly are innocent, you should not fear being examined. These 2 court ladies have a lot of experience. They will serve you well." If Jane refused to cooperate now, she would appear guilty. Just as Roy thought he had it in the bag, a question rang out. "Sir, does this suspicion come from Lady Helena or the king?" Roy frowned slightly. Before he could speak, Jane answered the question herself. "Now that I think about it, it can't have been Lady Helena. She's only a concubine. She wouldn't dare cross a line and question me. The soon-to-be queen that the royal family spent such a huge fortune to secure. Would she? Or perhaps the king or the queen dowager are the ones who feel suspicious, and they are merely using Lady Helena as a front." Roy felt chills down his spine hearing this. "Miss Foster, how dare you dash," he began. Jane was very calm and completely unfazed. "If the royal family has suspicions about me, we will not be subject to such unwarranted stains on our reputation. Even if the marriage fails to proceed today, I will make a trip to the royal cemetery on Mount Clement to speak of this grievance." At this point, Roy was beginning to panic. If the matter continued to escalate, things would not end well. When did Wendy become this eloquent? Back in the Cloud Palace, Helena was lying lazily on the couch. Several maids were massaging her shoulders and legs. Roy entered and relayed what had happened at the Foster mansion. After hearing everything, her charming eyes turned slightly cold. "Did Wendy really say that?" she asked. Roy nodded repeatedly that Helena's gaze grew frosty. She kicked the maids away and sat up. How could she still dare to marry into the royal family? Isn't she afraid that the truth will be exposed on her wedding night? Could the news have been wrong? Did she not lose her virginity? Helena asked. Roy immediately knelt on the ground. "I'm not sure, Your Highness. The wedding carriage entered the palace grounds. According to the rules, Jane would have to wait in a separate hall for the golden hour to arrive. Only then could she enter the main palace for the wedding. Her maid Lily was more nervous than her, and stood stiffly by her side. "My lady, I heard that the king is difficult to serve. He once beheaded dozens of ministers in a single day. The women in the harem who tried to get his attention were all killed with extremely cruel methods. In fact, there are even rumors that the king is the reincarnation of the god of death. He's bloodthirsty and violent." Jane had heard about these rumors at the border. George Augustus was indeed a tyrant. Lily continued, "However, the king wasn't always like this. He became a different person after his beloved Lady Rosalie died." "My lady, did you know that the king adores Lady Helena, because she looks very much like Lady Rosalie? The other consorts in the harem all look more or less like Lady Rosalie too. As for the women he doesn't like, Lily looked at Jane. She could not help but worry for her mistress. Jane and Lady Rosalie had nothing in common. Not only would she not be favored by the king, but she might also be rejected by him. Lily feared that the wedding night would not be a peaceful one.